Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives.
Is getting vaccinated on your to-do list? We can help you check it off, because we make getting vaccinated easy. You've got this, because we've got you. To learn more, visit yougotthis.usaging.org.
From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. What a beautiful day it is, and yesterday was really quite nice. I understand it's going to be a really nice weekend. So if you are visiting Chautauqua County, welcome, and you picked the right weekend to come. And if you are regulars here, well, we got all kinds of good things going on, and we're going to talk about some of those here in a few minutes. I want to say good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. We got an interesting show, as always, and we're going to be talking about history and all cool things here in Chautauqua County with my guest, Michelle Henry, who many of you probably know from past shows. So I'm looking forward to talking with Michelle about things like that. So stick around, and remember, if you can't finish watching the show, you can always catch us on our Facebook page, or we'll be on YouTube probably by tomorrow sometime, Justin, right? Usually we give Chris a day or so to post it. Okay, and all of our shows are posted to YouTube. I think we now have 519 of them. Woo! And last week we started our 11th season, so I'm very proud of that fact. And I think now we're longer running than MASH was. MASH was 10 years. I think now we passed them. So I got a few more years to beat Meet the Press, but we're working on it. Well, okay. So for those of you that are watching, also please remember that we are live right now and streaming around the world. And if you have an announcement, something you want to share, you name it, as long as it's nice and wholesome, we'll get you on the air. Yep, there it is, 716-753-5225. So 716-753-5225. And Randy's on the other end of the line waiting to take your call. So he'll pump you through here and we'll have a chat. And you can ask Michelle a question or myself, or it could be one of your club or organization's events that you might want to be talking about. Throughout the week also, people do this all the time. Let's see if I can do this. I always do this backwards. Is chautauquasunrise@gmail.com. You can email us and we'll put it on the following week, and happy to do that. Of course, as always, it's free of charge, and that's what we're all about, is getting information out to you right now. Well, I'm really sad for those folks up in the Forestville, North Collins, Eden area. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That tornado, they just upgraded it to a Category 2 this morning, and I read that it was 110 miles an hour. Woo! We've hit probably 60, 65 mile an hour gusts at our house, but 110 miles an hour, wow, that's just too much. And I hope everybody somehow or another can find their way through all that. But I know that there are probably websites out there, GoFundMes and things like that, and I would encourage people, neighborhoods, to support each other during this time, just like they do out west. It's not unusual to have a tornado here, but it doesn't happen very often, maybe once every 5 or 10 years, and generally they don't do too much damage, but this was a doozy. And I understand, according to my brother anyways, that the actual tornado started forming off the shores of Ripley, which kind of makes sense because we are sort of like the first front sometimes coming off the lake where the cold and the hot temperatures kind of intermix, and that starts the spinning process. And I guess it just went up along the lake and right through the Forestville area and then out that way. So anyways, we got quite a bit of rain out of the deal, but certainly not that. But anyways, people are saying the weather patterns are changing. I think we run in cycles. So right now I think we're in a warm cycle, and maybe 5 years from now, if we're still here, Justin, we'll be talking about a cold cycle that we're in. I don't know. But just be mindful that when they say that there's a potential for tornadoes, obviously it can happen. So please make sure you know where your safe area is, your basement or wherever it is you need to go into a municipal building down in the basement there. Just read up on that and take the advice that law enforcement gives you. All right, shout out to Natalia and friends over in the Ukraine. Good morning, good afternoon. I guess it's afternoon, and hope you are safe and doing okay. Let's see, talked about that. Since the weather is so nice today, I'll be reading some events here in a little bit, but there's really good things going on here in the county all the time. And if you're, as I mentioned, if you're visiting for the first time, please listen to what I'm going to be announcing. Check out the newspapers. There's the tour guides that you'll find in quite a few of the town buildings and libraries about what's going on here in Chautauqua County. And there's festivals and just all kinds of cool things. So we're pleased to be able to share the beauty of our county with all of you. Okay, so let's get to some announcements and then let's see what we got. All right, this first event is called the Laurel Memorial Run. This has been going on for quite a while. My friends over at the Resource Center sent this to me, and this is going to take place July 19th. So let's see, Justin, what's July 19th? Well, it starts the 19th, evidently, and then the 20th. So let's see what we got here. Oh, well, according to this, it starts on the 19th. So let's see what it says here. It's a 5K run walk. Enjoy cheers from spectators. It's the 28th annual. So that would be the 20th. So that's Saturday. So let's see what the deal is on the Friday here. All right. So it's Saturday, July 20th at 19 Park Place in Silver Creek. Parking's available across the street at Rite Aid, celebrating people with Down syndrome and other developmental disabilities. The 8K run, the toughest race you'll love to run. There's Laurel's Lap for anyone with a disability. It's a little shorter thing. Fun runs for children ages 7 and younger. About the Laurel Memorial Run Walk, okay? Wayne and Elaine Hoteling created the Laurel Run in 1997 in honor of their oldest daughter who had Down syndrome. The event is a celebration of the achievements of people with disabilities, as well as a reminder that those with disabilities can accomplish great things if given the chance. Laurel herself enjoyed a full, active life until her death, sadly, in 2017 at the age of 54. Help continue Laurel's legacy by taking part in the event that bears her name. Proceeds from the Laurel Run support people with disabilities through the Resource Center. Looking to volunteer, want to sponsor, and so on? Give them a call at our friend Steve Watterson at the Resource Center at 483-2344. All right, again, 716-483-2344. 2344, and you would do extension 90135. But ask for Steve Watterson. Or you can call Wayne and Elaine Hoteling at 716-934-3952. 934-3952. All right, so I'm not sure why this says the 19th, but Justin is absolutely correct. Everything's taking place on the 20th. All right, so there's a 7 a.m. check-in and registration, 8:10 opening ceremonies, 8:30 the 5K run walk and 1K walk begin, 9 o'clock the 8K run begins, 4 water stations on the course, 10 o'clock children's run, age 7 and younger, 10:15 Laurel's Legacy Lap for people with disabilities, and 10:30 here's award ceremony. There are cash prizes of $100, $75, and $50 to the top 3 male and 3 female finishers in the 8K run. I didn't know that. Medals awarded to the top 3 male and female finishers in each age group in 8K, 5K runs, and so forth. Awards to the top 3 teams in both 8K and 5K. Combined times of teams' first 4 finishers. Woo! That's a mouthful. Shirt and commemorative medal for all 8K, 5K, and 1K participants. Please note that the 8K run is part of the Chautauqua Strider Runner of the Year series, sponsored by KeyBank. All right, so how do you get involved? Registration fees for the 8K, 5K, 1K is $25, $20 age 17 and under. Fees increase $5 on July 19th. So do pre-registration. The fun runs are $5 for 1 child, $10 for 2, and so forth. And then, of course, Laurel's Lap, which is for folks with disabilities, is free of charge. Major sponsors are Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union, Quickfill, and Assured Partners. Having been a special ed teacher and Special Olympics and everything else that's going on right now with just the Olympics in general, it's a fun time to get out there and support folks to do some cool things for people with disabilities, okay? And children with Down syndrome are really wonderful people. They grow into great adults, and I had lots of experience with a number of folks with Down syndrome and many good memories. All right, let's move on. Slide 16. I even have a prop here today. All right, so this coming, let's see, what day of the week? I got to look again. It's Tuesday, is 7/1/6, so July 16th, and they're using the idea of 7/16. So here we go. It's Give 7/16 next week, and this is for the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation. I might add there are other organizations that are doing something similar called the 7/16 or Big 7/16, or however you want to call it, or Give 7/16. When you give to the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation during Give 7/16, your gift will be added to our community funds, allowing us to ensure our community's needs are met today and tomorrow. Your gift directly benefits all of Northern Chautauqua. All right. Donating takes place between 7/15 and 7/16, so that those 2 days. At certain times throughout this Give 7/16, your donation of up to $500 to the Community Foundation could be doubled. Take a peek at the schedule that's on the screen right now, and for those of you that are listening on the radio, you'll have to go to the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation and look at their website for this poster, or you can look at our YouTube video. New this year, every donation made within the matching hour is eligible. Donations will be selected and matched at random at the end of the hour. No more racing to be first. Don't miss out on these incredible incentives. When you give at specific times, you could earn these great incentives, including autographed sports memorabilia, tickets to games, limited edition Give 7/16 t-shirts from 26 shirts, and limited edition caps from New Era. During the cultural hour, you can earn admission to Explore and More Children's Museum, Shays Performing Arts Center in Buffalo, AKG Art Museum, Six Flags Darien Lake, and a whole lot more. Want to do more? Be a Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation ambassador and join our fundraising efforts by setting up your own page to share with your friends and family. Okay, if you want more information, go to the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation website. So it's nccfoundation.org, and let you know more. All right, so keep that on there. So as you can see, at different times of the days, there are different incentives, and you can do different levels of donation. and there are different kind of premiums or gifts that they'll give you. So you can take that down, Jeff, because I want to show folks last year, Barb and I donated, and I'm, even though present company may not be on the same page as me, we got a signed Buffalo Bills mini helmet, okay, for our donation, and with it came a certificate of authenticity, okay? So I'm gonna just leave that right out here. I don't want to burn your eyeballs out. I'm sorry, Justin, but he's not necessarily, he doesn't care? Oh, okay. So next time, don't wear your sports team here. We have so much fun arguing about whose football team is better at times. But anyways, this is an example of what you can get as a premium if you donate, and there you have that. So you get T-shirts, you get tickets, and so forth. It's just a fun way to help raise money for the foundation. And we've had the foundation on here with Diane Hannum and other folks, and they do great work providing funds to a lot of our community programs. All right, let's go on to 17. Here we go. All right, this is my own Rotary Club. All right, and this is a little tricky to see. All right, but every summer for the last couple, 3 or 4 summers, my club has been doing a raffle. This is one of those quick and fast ones. It's going to end on August 3. So what's the deal? All right, this is a really cool grill. It's a Blackstone, which I think is like the top of the line. It's a 2-burner with 28-inch griddle with hood and griddle plate and grill accessories. Raffle to be held, as I said, August 3. Tickets are only $5 or 5 for $20, which is my favorite. Proceeds to support local service projects. Must be 18 years of age to participate. All right, and so basically you're going to see them over at the Farmers Market in Westfield, and probably at First Fridays, I guess that's already, is it today? Maybe. Well, anyways, you'll see them at various places throughout the next couple of few weeks, and the Rotary members will be selling tickets. So this is just a fun way to win a really cool package. And Blackstone is, as we just said, really top of the line grills. So if you are interested, check them out and get a ticket, and who knows, you might walk away with a new griddle this summer. All right, next one, another Rotary Club. They were here last week. We were talking about the fly-in breakfast. All right, so just as a reminder, there it is. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's tomorrow. Is that right? Tomorrow. Today's the 13th, so that must make it the 14th. It says, come and join us at the 57th Annual Fly-In Breakfast. It's sponsored by the Dunkirk Fredonia Rotary Club, our colleagues up there. It's going to start at 8 a.m. till noon. Chautauqua County Dunkirk Airport at the Middle Road in Dunkirk. There's going to be lots of airplanes on display. There's going to be a craft show, 50-50, a Chinese auction, and on and on and on. Now, this is the part that just blows me away. All you can eat pancakes, eggs, sausage, milk, coffee, decaf, juice, water, and so forth, $10. Where can you go anywhere and get a meal that much for $10? Trust me, I've tried, and you just can't do it. Children 12 and under are only $5, and you get the tickets at the door. So it's a fun event. This is their 57th annual fly-in breakfast. I think the only time they didn't do it was during the pandemic. So again, a Rotary Club doing good work, and their proceeds go to support local initiatives, scholarships, bringing kids to and from our country, Rotary students outbound, inbound, and so on. We all do a lot of good work, so we hope that you would support that Rotary Club as well. All right, now the Warriors group, who is with the veterans group here in Chautauqua County, the Chautauqua County Veterans Advocates, I call them. They sent me this really cool farmers market information, and I like to list them, but I didn't realize there were so many of them. So I'm going to go through the list. There's quite a few of them, and there's some that I didn't know about. And I'm going to let you know, because some of these actually will accept certain government programs, and I'll just read them, and if you know what they are, fine. I may not know what they are, but I'm going to read them anyways. So it says, these are the times for farmers markets, mobile markets, I didn't know there were mobile markets, and farm stands in our communities. Here we go. Fredonia Farmers Market is held Saturdays from 9 to 1, right through the end of October. SNAP FMNP is accepted and FCC is accepted. Don't know what those mean. I know SNAP does, but I don't know the other two. Farmer Market in Fredonia, Saturdays 9 to 1. Then you got the Jamestown Mobile Market at the Resource Center. This is held Wednesday from 10 to 11. And this is running through almost the end of October. SNAP and FCC accepted. The Jamestown Mobile Market at Prendergast Library. All right, this is held from Wednesday 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So they bounce around, I guess. SNAP and FCC accepted. Jamestown Mobile Market, once again, is going to be at the Chautauqua Center, Wednesdays from 1 to 2 throughout to the end of September, it looks like. SNAP and FCC accepted. Jamestown Mobile Market, Silver Tree Seniors location. They show up on Thursdays from 1 to 2, and they're going to be there through almost the end of September. SNAP and FCC accepted. And then they're going to be, the Jamestown Mobile will be at Bush Elementary. How cool is that? Thursdays from 2:30 to 3:30. And they're going to go through almost the end of October. SNAP and FCC accepted. Jamestown Mobile Market is going to be at Code Building. Oh, I don't know what that is. What's the Code Building? Thursday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And again, through October, SNAP, FCC. Then you've got just the Jamestown Public Market. They're held from on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And they're going to run almost to the end of October. SNAP, FMNP, and FCC accepted. If you haven't been to the Jamestown Public Market, it's a lot of fun. I played there a couple times over the years. The street's closed off, and there's music, and there's vendors, and it's just a great time. So those other times I was telling about is the mobile market, but this one is the actual market that's on Saturdays. Then you got your Lakewood Farmers Market. Okay, that's Thursdays 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. running through Labor Day. And then there's a place called Miller's Apples Farm Stand. Thursdays through Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. through December. FCC accepted. And of course you got the Westfield Farmers Market that's taking place right now every Saturday morning, I guess, through October. Woo! Got a lot of places to visit, folks, and you get farm-to-table products, and that's way cool. I'm going to take a breather. We're going to be right back, so stay tuned.
In Chautauqua County, election inspectors are the backbone of our democratic process. They're our friends, our neighbors, living in our communities, the very heartbeat of democracy.
Without having election inspectors and the electoral process going on, we wouldn't be able to determine on who's going to be our leaders.
Every election, these dedicated individuals ensure that every voice is heard and every vote is counted. Their commitment is what makes our elections fair, transparent, and authentic.
I think it's important for anyone, regardless of what their political opinion is, to be able to come and exercise their right to vote.
But we need more people like them, people who are willing to step up, serve their community, and be a part of something bigger than themselves.
I enjoy the day, I enjoy the people, I feel good about the process.
Join us in upholding democracy. Apply now to become an election inspector. Sign up at votechautauqua.com.
The Board of Elections Commissioners here, and we were talking about the system that's in place in the county, and I know that you can read about it or watch it on TV about the questionable practices that are being challenged in courts about the election process in various states. And I'll tell you right now, it's pretty locked up here. I don't even know how you could even begin to mess with our system. So good on those folks, and we thank them for their hard work to allow us to vote, and that's one of our inalienable rights is to vote. All right, enough on that. I want to welcome back to the show, Michelle Henry.
Thank you.
I don't know, colleagues, I guess, as historians and so forth. And we're just glad to have you because I love talking about history these days. And but you got a new job, right?
Yeah, I'm now a research historian for the state park system. So that's a lot of fun. Get to learn a lot about the state parks in Chautauqua County. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a new endeavor. And still on the board of the Chautauqua County Historical Society. Mm-hmm. So today I wanted to just talk about a little bit about what the Historical Society has been up to in Westfield. Okay. and our event coming up next weekend.
Okay, so we got a lot to unfold here. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. How many state parks are there?
There's 5 properties.
5 properties.
Yeah.
And that one includes Midway Park.
Right.
People didn't even realize that, I remember.
How fun is that? In Chautauqua County, we have a state park that's an amusement park, a historic amusement park, a very historic lighthouse, and then we have Lake Erie State Park, Long Point, and then the marinas in Silver Creek.
You know, but I remember, oh gosh, I think I had Mark Thomas on here. I forgot how many years ago. It's been a long time. And he was assistant commissioner for state parks, and he was telling me about that. And I'm like, what? I didn't realize that, you know, they were state parks. But, you know, it's such a pleasure to be able to go to a state park and enjoy, you know, the day with your family there. So that's way cool. So you're researching what about the parks?
Just the history of each of the parks, just to help us when we, for future interpretive information at the locations, just to help us better understand the properties and how they evolved and what's there now and what was there. So, you know, they all have a long history, each of the properties, and so we just want to make sure that we have the best documentation that we can.
You know, and I think it goes without saying, a lot of times when we all go on visits or tours or we're in a different part of the country, we ask 1,000 questions. Well, how old is this? And where did it come from? And, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so, and now most places have, you know, a panoramic set of pictures, or they'll have a book, or just, you know, certain little vignettes of the history of the place. Marla was on the show, I don't know, about 6 months ago, and it was fascinating. The lighthouse, I want to say 1832, but I don't know if that's correct.
For what?
The lighthouse? It's way early, I know that.
Yeah, 29.
29, I was close. I was only off by a couple.
Right.
I think they built in 20, but I'm making things up
It
here.
was, well, yeah, then it was lit by natural gas
Yeah.
shortly thereafter.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So,
knew it was
yeah,
really early.
Yeah, very interesting history. And, you know, so many folks do those lighthouse tours around the Great Lakes, and there's a little passport book that you can get
Oh, I
to
didn't know
visit
that.
each lighthouse, and you get a stamp in the passport book. So a lot of folks are doing that now because it's, you know,
Where do you get that?
they're at the lighthouse. You can get a passport.
Oh my gosh, I gotta get one of
And
those.
you can take a drive around the lake and get your book stamped.
And this is just Lake Erie?
Oh, they have them all over the country, but there is one that's for the Great Lakes.
Okay.
So,
That's something I think Barbara and I would love to do.
Yeah.
My mother used to collect the little miniatures. In fact, we have some of them at home that she gave us over the years that were Christmas ornaments, you know, like something from Maine or, you know, Mackinac Island. I'm making this up, but, you know, different places they visited, and she was really into the lighthouses. So, and actually, we've been to a number of them as well.
Right.
1830s, that's pretty early for Chautauqua County.
well, sure. You know, it's interesting that, you know, the Erie Canal opening in 1825 really kind of led to this boom of commerce on the Great Lakes, because suddenly we realized we could get produce products from here and to here via the canal. And so the federal government really stepped in, and they did a survey of the Great Lakes, and they recommended where lighthouses should be erected to help the ports develop. And so Barcelona, at the time it was Portland Harbor, was one of them. And so you know, Lake Erie was really a critical part of that whole development of the interior of the country, because of the Portage Trail getting us to Chautauqua Lake, and also the Welland Canal was built, and so people, you know, they could get up the St. Lawrence Seaway, and then Lake Erie connected to all the other Great Lakes. And so we were really a critical part of that whole early commerce development, because the best way to travel was by water, because the roads weren't developed.
Somebody had a vision for the country, then they could see what was important. And as you said, you know, if you're going to develop an area, you got to bring in the support systems. You know, it's like the gold miners. You know, they said they didn't make the money. It was the ones that set up the restaurants
The
and
shops,
the hotels
yeah,
and the shops.
the sutler shops,
So it was
yeah.
the support systems. And if I'm not mistaken, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think I'm right. If you start at the St. Lawrence, you can end up in the Mississippi River.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could go right through the country.
Right. So the only, you know, the portage between Westfield and Mayville is, you know, the only part really that you can't travel by water,
Yeah.
which is fascinating. And early on, people realized that, you know, that suddenly you could open up the interior of the country, and they wanted people to start, you know, settling those areas. And people were anxious to do that, to go out there and, you know, pick up some good land. And so, so we suddenly had this new way to get things to bigger markets.
Great.
And so, Westfield was really just developing at that time, and the first settlement was at the Crossroads, which is what Westfield was called initially, and that was on the west side of Chautauqua Creek, which is where the French Portage Road was originally cut. And so there's a historical marker at the intersection of Gale and Main Street,
I've seen it.
Route 20, which commemorates that first settlement. But then when James McClurg came to Westfield and he purchased property on the east side of the creek, he also had property at Barcelona, and his brother-in-law and nephew were owners of a big dock and warehouse at Barcelona at that time. So I'm sure McClurg had his fingers in that as well. So he built his house on the east side of the creek, and donated the property on either side for 2 churches. He built the first big hotel across the intersection from him, and he built a 3-story brick block of businesses, or business buildings. So he really kind of shifted the downtown of Westfield from the Crossroads to the east side of the creek where it is now. So I think it's interesting that I think he had a vision for where he wanted the downtown to develop, and that's where it is today.
Right. And then you had folks in Jamestown developing Jamestown, the Prendergasts. And the Prendergasts were in Ripley and Westfield as well.
Well, there were
they were everywhere.
13 kids. They were, yeah.
But I mean, I was so surprised to see Stephen Prendergast lived in Ripley, just down the road from where I live. And these were movers and shakers in their day. I mean, there were some big names: the Peacocks, the Prendergasts, McClurgs, McMahon, all those guys. And they were coming in from like Connecticut, up in Vermont and so forth, and they all came from like where, Ireland and England?
Yeah, primarily. But then it's interesting too, because like the McMahons and the Easons and the McClurgs all came from Pennsylvania. So they were coming up through the Allegheny,
down,
and then the other ones were coming down the Great Lakes, from New England. So they were all people, I think, who were pretty ingenious. When you think about in 1829 the lighthouse was built, and then just a couple years later, men realized that there were some bubbles coming out of a stream nearby.
Well, it could possibly be
and they
coming
turned
up.
that into a lighting system. And that, to me, like you're looking at something that people always knew was there, but then you're deciding that you can make that into a light, so and then
how do I get those bubbles up into that building?
Right, and so
pipes.
So they had to build wooden pipes. How do you build wooden, and capture the gas, pipe it to the lighthouse, get it up the lighthouse, and then build a light, which didn't exist. I mean, there were no gas light fixtures at the time. And
I'm trying to imagine who was the first guy that puts the match to it, and I'm like, ah.
Well, it is, so you think, wow, they were really they were pretty ingenious, to be able to make something like that happen.
A lot of times I get these questions as town historian in Ripley about whether or not when the first settlers came into the area, they were talking about these names, and this was just not very many years after the United States became the United States, 1790s and so on. Who was living here before these guys showed up? Anybody?
No. Well, I mean,
within like 50
so the
years
county, the county wasn't opened for settlement until after the Holland Land Company did a survey. So the surveyors came through in the 1790s, and then, of course, it was in the land company's best interest to get people out here. And so, the first land contract was 1802, and of course, one of the surveyors had settled in Hanover, Amos Sottle, although he didn't get a clear land title, so he's not credited as being the first settler, but he was actually here. So, I guess you can argue that. But, so there was an uptick in people coming here because the land was good and cheap. But then the War of 1812 started, and so that really just suppressed the development of the county for 3 years until the war ended. So, it was a rough start, it was a tough time. But then after the war, I think then people started coming in larger numbers.
And so then the follow-up question is, well, who was here, like in the 1770s? they say, well, were there First Nation Indians, and and I go, no. Because we all have those movie images of the out west, and and the Indians in log houses and long houses and wigwams and teepees, and it really
Yeah, and I
wasn't.
think by that time the Eries had been driven out, and this area wasn't really populated. I think people think it was probably seasonally, used by the Native Americans for fishing and
Coming
summer
through,
camps and
yeah.
things. Yeah, so
So,
so there wasn't a resident population here when the first settlers arrived.
Okay,
per se.
well, I like to always bring that up because that question pops up a lot, and they're going, well, there really wasn't. In fact, most things I read was that if somebody from First Nations came through, it was sort of unique. They would draw attention to themselves because there wasn't that population here at that time. I know that they had settled here, years beforehand, but not during that period of time.
Well, part of the whole, contract negotiations with the land company was getting clear title and treaties with the Indians, and that took time. And, this part of the country was the Wild West, and there really weren't good maps. And so the whole idea of boundaries was a little, wiggly wobbly.
Yeah.
So that all had to be worked out before they could open it for settlement.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that,
One of the fun things I always like to bring to people's attention is that there's a stone monument, and where I'm talking about, down on Route 5. This is the mark of where the New York State Pennsylvania border is after a certain date, but it was not the original location because Erie, Pennsylvania used to be part of New York State, right?
Well, right,
More or
right.
less.
So, right, yeah. So that chimney in Pennsylvania was, was a great idea on Pennsylvania's part to get access to the Great Lakes,
Right.
and it goes back to that desire to have access to good transportation. So water access was critical, and so that was a deal made, to
Right.
give Pennsylvania that little section
Right.
to touch the lake.
But people don't realize that because when you look at the map, there's this little cutout there, and you go, well, what about that part? And that's the rest of the story.
Right.
So, Historical Society, I've not really talked at great length about this organization. It's pretty old, right?
Yeah, so we are the oldest historical society in the county. The Chautauqua County Historical Society was started in 1883. So it was really, the grandchildren and children of the settlers who, really were concerned that the early history and their parents' contributions to the county needed to be preserved and captured. And so the Historical Society was started in 1883 and existed and did lectures throughout the county and collected mostly archival material. So the Historical Society has a really, really early collection of documents and ephemera related to the county's early history. And in 1951, they acquired the McClurg Mansion in Westfield.
What year?
1951. So the
That's
mansion,
73 years ago.
yeah, the mansion was, finished in 1820. So it's the oldest brick house in the county, and it was James McClurg's homestead, and it was slated to be demolished because the village didn't know what to do with it. So luckily, the Historical Society was able to do a contract with, or a lease from the village to take over the house. So we now have this wonderful 204-year-old building, which is fabulous, and it's we put a lot of money and effort into making it available to the public, and that's where the collections are housed. So it's just a real asset for the county.
Okay, so folks that are listening right now that are history buffs, can they visit?
Yes. So
How's that work?
So the museum is open Tuesday through Saturday, 10
Yeah, I think it is 10.
10 to 4.
I think you're right. Because John Wolf, who used to be on my show, he'd say, I got to get out of here. I got to go open the place up.
Yeah, and I think on Saturday it's 10 to 2.
Okay.
And it's all run by volunteers. So, we have a really good dedicated board that, we try to do fundraising. And so one of our biggest fundraisers is coming up next weekend, and that's the antique show that actually is in its 87th year. So everything that we do has been going on for a very long time. So Westfield used to be, kind of known as an antique center, and it used to be that the antique dealers in town put on this show, and they brought in dealers from other parts of the country. And because it's a fundraiser and we wanted to be able to increase the number of dealers that we could invite, we've moved it to Chautauqua Suites.
Okay, and for those that don't know where Chautauqua Suites is, where's Chautauqua
It's
Suites?
in Mayville, right on Route 394, just past Webb's.
Right.
So it's a big facility.
Looks like a big hotel, basically.
It's a
right?
big hotel, but it has a nice expo center attached to it. So there's plenty of parking. It's all on one level. We've been able to add 6 dealers to the show. So we now have 26 dealers from 6 different states. So coming from as far away as Kentucky and Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio. So it's really a great opportunity if you're interested in antiques to see things that you wouldn't necessarily get to see around here. So we have dealers that deal in fine glass, rare prints, primitive furniture, pottery. So there's lots of jewelry. It's really a nice mix of things.
Jeff, I think we have that poster. I don't think we popped it up yet. Can we pop that poster up so we can? Okay, so we'll let you work on that. Okay. So Chautauqua Suites, Mayville, just down the road really from here.
Yes.
All right, so what's the cost?
So it's open Saturday from 10 to 4 and Sunday from 10 to 3. And it's $10 to get in or $15 for a couple. And that will get you in both days. So if you see something Saturday and you want to think about it, you can come back on Sunday and you don't have to pay admission again. And like I said, it's all proceeds benefit our preservation efforts, to preserve the house, preserve the history, preserve our collections, and to make them available to the public.
You use the word ephemeral. That's a term that most people may not be familiar with. What do you mean by ephemeral?
Ephemera is like printed material, things like posters, old steamboat tickets. There are lots of things that end up in a historical collection. They're not just necessarily just like a document. So anything that might be paper, but isn't just a regular document, a letter or whatever, you can term as ephemera. It could be like a suffrage ribbon, that a woman wore as a for the suffrage movement, things like that.
I'm conserving a large collection of documents that came my way as town historian, and I think ephemera in this case, I see a lot of ads, like little ads that people kept that were on a calendar, for instance. Mr. Smith's eggs, something 5 cents a dozen, or the best shoes in town, and why people kept them, I don't know, but these are very cool little vignettes of the past, and you look at the pictures of the products and the prices or early cars and things like that. It just tells so much of our history that way.
Yes, old ads, old like newspapers. That's why we're so fortunate that so many from the county have been digitized, because you can find what businesses were in existence in any community, where they were located, what they sold. It really helps you get a feel for what your community looked like at a point in time.
I just wrote a short article for our town virtual newspaper, if you will, and I put out a plea to families that are cleaning out grandma's attic, that are cleaning out your Uncle Joe's basement if you've inherited the property and you come across a box of ephemera. Don't throw it out. Sure, you can, if it's all, eaten up and stuff like that, I get it. But some of that stuff is just historical, and it may not be worth much money, but it tells the story of your family, it tells the story of your neighborhood sometimes, or your village, and I would encourage you to conserve it, dry it out, put it in a binder, whatever. You'd be surprised later on that somebody's going to say to you, hey, do you have a picture of, do you remember when? And you can bring that up for your family. History is so important these days. I'm amazed.
It is. And I think, if you don't want to handle it, if you look at something and you think, that could be moldy, it could have, mouse droppings in it or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Offer it to a local historical society and let them make the determination, because, there's always a variety of different steps. Preservation is a lot different than conservation. Conservation is something that experts do, that involves a lot of money. And
I'll pull back my term. I said I was conserving them. I'm preserving them. I'm drying them out.
Deacidification, probably encapsulation,
Right.
things that are archival.
Yeah.
And a historical society typically is going to just, assess the collection, determine what is valuable and what can be saved, and then preserve it, which is what you do until you decide it warrants conservation. But I mean, that step is critical.
Yeah.
And for people who don't feel they want to deal with it or don't know how, there are other folks who can help with that. And so I encourage them to reach out.
Right. And so, I tell people that contact me very often, they start with me, but they don't realize that maybe they should be at the next town over. Help me on this. I think every municipality, town, or village is required to have a historian, yes?
They are required to have a historian. However, historians generally are not encouraged to collect. And that is because historians often don't have a suitable space, and they don't have environmental controls.
I keep going up. If I go a little off, they keep going up, higher, higher.
So, if a historian is working out of their house,
Right.
Then those things are not in the public
Right,
domain.
right.
And then they might have a flood or a fire, or they might pass away and their kids just
Yeah.
go poop, So, so historians are in a really important part of the whole conduit of preserving this stuff. But we often just encourage the historians to, don't try to keep it in your house. Please try to direct it to the right repository.
Okay, so like the Chautauqua County Historical Society, for instance, or contact a local historian, and maybe they do have space, because there are historical societies here and there that are bigger than my office, which is just piles of things in some kind of order. But yeah, and they may have things. I think Jeff said he's got that poster. Let's see if we can pop it up now. There we go. How'd we do? There we go.
Great.
All right,
Great.
so folks, thanks, Jeff. Go ahead, I'll let you speak to it. There's a picture of the hotel, the Chautauqua Suites.
Right. So we have a wonderful intern from SUNY Fredonia who is doing all of our Facebook promotion for us, and she's developed these Facebook posts and Instagram posts to help us promote the show. So it's Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4, and then 10 to 3 on Sunday. 26 dealers. It's really just going to be a great event, and we really hope that people will come out. It supports the Historical Society. It's a chance to see some things that you might not see in our local shops.
Okay.
So,
And so for more information, they could call this number, and it's, go ahead.
yes, 326-2977.
And so who are they going to talk
That's
to?
the museum. That's
Oh.
the McClurg Museum in Westfield.
And if nobody's
So-
there, they can leave a message?
Leave a message and we'll call you back. You can email at that address, cchsmcclurg.org.
Or,
That's the website. But there's an email link on the website. So if you email us or you call, we'll get back to you.
okay, so this is going to be next weekend, right?
Yes.
The 20th and 21st.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Jeff, and maybe we'll pop it up before we're all done one more time. I went to this show maybe 8 years ago when it was out at Easton Hall, maybe, and wow, that's all I can say is wow. These folks spend a lot of time and energy bringing their collections, and they seem to be very willing to share their expertise as well,
Yes, yes. And sometimes people come to the show just because they have something in their possession and they want it either identified or appraised. And we don't do appraisals at historical societies. It's unethical for us to do that.
Right.
But this is a great opportunity to talk to somebody who might be a real expert in some sort of cut glass or pottery
Right.
or,
Okay. We have a phone call. Ready?
Super.
Morning, caller.
Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Michelle. This is Linda Spalding.
Where have you been? I haven't heard from you in weeks.
You know, things have been going on. I've been very busy here at my apartment house. I'm sorry.
It's that time of year, right?
Right. But I want to mention how great it is to see you on the show, Michelle. And I do love the history around here, and I plan on going.
Oh, super.
Your event at the suite.
Great. Thank you.
And also, I would like to announce that this Wednesday,
yes,
at the American Legion in Mayville on Erie Street, there, right at the Bend.
Yes, ma'am.
We're having our annual chicken barbecue, our big fundraiser, and the chicken is absolutely delicious.
Is it like a Chevettas type or what?
Well, it's really, people say it's better than Chevettas, because although I do like Chevettas too. This is Widener's Incorporated out of Eden, New York.
Oh, the competition. Okay.
Yeah, and it's barbecue chicken, and they're like baby potatoes that are like cooked. They're really good, and coleslaw.
All right, and how much?
And pre-sale is $15.
Okay.
And at the event, it's $16.
Okay.
And it starts at 3 p.m. Until 6 or until they're sold out.
So you ought to
and it's a good chance, too, so, you know, people can even pick up their dinner and go into the Legion and have a drink.
All as well. Linda, the proceeds, where are they going?
To the Mayville Chautauqua Lions Club.
I thought maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't mention that.
That's my job. That's my job, is to bring that up. All right, and you just had your big Kentucky Derby fundraiser, so this is your second one.
Yeah, we did, and that was, people had a wonderful time at that.
All right, so
it was a lot of fun, and all of the proceeds, even the 50-50, were given to the Mayville VFW for disabled veterans.
Okay.
And the woman who won the 50-50 also gave her share of the 50 to the VFW. It was a big success. People had so much fun. They were laughing their heads off because we were taking pictures holding a puppet, a horse puppet. And it was really a beautiful event because we had Jen. She sang the national anthem before the Derby, and we watched the Derby. It was a lot of fun. We picked up some new members too.
Excellent. All right. So it's this coming Wednesday, July 17th. Yes, from 3 p.m.
July 17th
at the American Legion in Mayville.
Mayville American Legion, 144 South Erie Street.
So that's Route 3. That's Route 394, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I'm
Right
telling
here in
people.
the
I'm
Bend.
saying you say I know where it is, but people that are visiting may not know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, sometimes people smell the chicken. It smells so good they just pull up.
Okay, Lynn. Hey, thanks for calling. I'm glad to hear from you. It's been a while.
Oh, it's good to hear from you. I'm sorry I've been neglectful and negligent, but it's been a little bit busy around here. But I do intend to come to that event, Michelle.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for being a keeper of our history.
Oh, sure. We'll see you there.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You know, that's interesting. She said, "Keeper of the History." That's kind of a cool title, isn't it?
It
Keeper
is.
of the History.
It
Somebody's
is.
got to do it.
Yes, yes. And, you know, it's not for us. You know, I mean, it is for
Yeah.
us, but it's also for everybody who comes after us.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like everything we can do, you know, we talked about how sometimes, you know, everything you do in steps, you just make things a little bit better so that the next person can take it from there and take it to the next step. And whether that means, you know, digitizing something so that it's available on the internet or just unfolding some old letters so that they can be flattened and then, you know, copied.
Every week, I thank the late Marie McCutcheon, who was my predecessor for like 25 years as the Ripley historian. I mean, she was like the historian's historian. And when I need something, the way I have it organized now, I can get to it pretty well. But I mean, detail and information, it was like, wow. You know, I can usually get answers for people pretty quickly.
Yes.
I want to circle back a little bit about the Historical Society there in Westfield at the McClure Mansion. So what do you do with the money? What's it need? Why are you raising this money? It's only 200 plus years. If I was 200 years, I might need something too.
In the last couple of years, we've put over $400,000 into the house.
Wait a minute, what? 400,000? Where'd you get that much money?
Well, grants, and the roof was damaged in that horrible hailstorm that we had, so we had some insurance money that helped us replace, so we had to replace the roof. There was some damage inside, leaking, and so we had a lot of repairs to do. We've upgraded the electrical system, the security system. We had to do better drainage around the foundation to keep the basement dry. So, we have to have the environment, so the entire building has, the right environmental controls so it doesn't get too hot or cold throughout the year for the sake of the collections. We had, because it's on the National Register of Historic Places, we had to put storm windows on the inside rather than the outside. So and those are expensive.
Yeah.
So I mean, it never ends.
Money pit.
Well, but then also there's all the efforts, there's archival boxes, archival supplies, digitizing, all that takes money too, scanning photographs.
So you are responsible for all of Chautauqua County. I mean, all the little villages and towns, they can bring stuff to you?
Sure. And I mean, we do have some other historical societies in the county. I think there's 23, but not all of them have a building that's suitable for long-term preservation. So certainly if somebody, if they have items from Sherman, they want them to go to Sherman, we encourage them to donate them there, or to the Fenton in Jamestown, or to, wherever. But we're also always there to, consider something if it's got relevance to Chautauqua County. We want to make sure that it gets saved.
Okay, so folks are listening right now that have never been to the mansion, McClure. Is it for kids?
Oh, sure. And kids are free, so you don't have to pay. It's $5 if you're not a kid. So, but it's a 3-story mansion, Pioneer Mansion, and we have items in there from when it was occupied by William Seward with the Holland Land Company. There's a children's room upstairs that's full of historic toys and dollhouses and carriages. There's a big Civil War exhibit upstairs. A lot of pioneer farm and cheese making and weaving implements in the basement. There's a First Nations room full of arrowheads and things. So I think, there's something for everyone. They're putting in a lake exhibit downstairs to talk about the ice industry and the boats and the hotels on Chautauqua Lake. So there's a lot of information.
I don't think people really appreciate Chautauqua County's history until you really dig into it. This was a wonderful place over the years. It has so many cool things, like the steamboats, on the lakes. And he said that fishing industry. You don't think of Chautauqua area as a big fishing industry and things of this nature, and the ice making. And I mean, it was pretty crucial area. Like you said, it was the frontier to the country for a number of years.
Right, and so many people who went on to have national significance have some connection to the county, and then people typically don't know that. Don't know.
Seward bought Alaska, didn't he?
Yeah, Seward was responsible for us buying Alaska. That's
a
a little
state,
thing.
yeah.
Right. So, and Ripley had B.F. Goodrich.
Yes.
We had folks that were, intimately connected to Abraham Lincoln, Governor
We've had congressmen
Fenton.
and senators, and from Chautauqua County, not just our little villages, but from all over the place.
Right.
Very cool things.
And so we have at the museum, just to mention some of the collections, we have the Albion Tourget collection, which is used by legal scholars from across the country.
Wow. Cool.
And the Cushing brothers, the famous Cushing brothers from the Civil War, we have the Cushing papers.
I remember those.
So, and then one other thing I'll mention, if I can, is during the county's bicentennial in 2011, we created an award for like somebody who's done premier historical research, and we called it the Lyle T. Foote Award because he was our first historian, and he's really responsible for so many things that we have now, because he felt it was important to, and so we're giving that again this year. We have only given it 4 times since 2011. So on August 15th at the Lawson Boat Center in Bemis, we're doing an award ceremony.
Cool. We have like 10 seconds left, so let's get the poster up and let's let folks know one more time about the show.
Yeah, so Antique Show next Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st, from 10 to 4 on Saturday and 10 to 3 on Sunday.
And how much to get in?
$10 a person or $15 for a couple
And if
for
you're
both days.
And a small person doesn't cost anything?
Correct.
Okay. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I could talk about this for like 5 shows, but I'm limited to a certain amount of time. So please check out the show. Go over the McClurg. What a great afternoon or morning, or well, late morning, with your family to see some history in Chautauqua County. Michelle, as always, thanks, and we're going to do this again sometime. Yeah. All right, folks, have a wonderful weekend, and whoa, where did I go? Enjoy. Yeah. Thanks, Justin, for that. I get seasick here. Enjoy your weekend, and we're going to do this all next weekend, next Saturday from 9 to 10. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever else I'm showing up these days. Take care. Bye-bye.
I didn't realize we were so close to the end of the time. I didn't realize time was so short.
You were fine.
Okay.
We